Hey there, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to the table, as I often like to say. And if you are new here, I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I do a lot of political readings a few times a week. And today, have to start out by, of course, giving honor and paying tribute to Dolly Parton, who, wow, what a loss. What an absolute loss. But, and social media just went ballistic. There were all kinds of threats against the Grim Reaper. People were like, the wrong D, right? Can you spell? But on a serious note, what an incredible force, what an incredible memory, what an incredible life she lived. And I am getting also, as I'm sure many of you, to the extent that we're talking spiritually, her light and her ability after she goes through her transformation, of course, let her soul and her spirit go through that transition. But I really think she is going to somehow, some way be an incredible force on the other side to combat a lot of the darkness that we're seeing. For those who have gone into Frump's energy, I try to avoid it like the plague. But those who have gone into his energy, we know that it's the only explanation really for why he is still among the walking, other than these experimental drugs they're giving him, etc., etc. We know. But at the end of the day, there are tremendous forces of darkness and dark energy that's feeding all of this. And to counter that, I think, among many spirits, certainly Dolly Parton's spirit will be an incredible force in the cosmos, and to address and help us and assist us down the road. Not calling on her anytime soon, because again, she needs time. Her soul needs time to transition. But I just see her as an incredible bright light. The spirit kept saying Rainbow Bridge when I was thinking about her earlier this morning. So again, wishing her and giving honor to her spirit. All right, moving on. Want to take a look at what the heck is going on with this unannounced visit to Russia by John Ratcliffe. Taking these, not one, but as I've read and saw reported, at least two cargo transport aircraft to Russia. Didn't announce it, and very tight-lipped once it became known that this was happening. Very tight-lipped. All we're hearing are something to the effect of security issues that are being discussed. Whose security? Two things are emerging that I want to look at. That Spirit is saying, like, let's pay attention here, you all. One, we know what happened with the U.S. getting drawn into, because of ties to Israel, into the Iranian war, period, right? That got suckered into that. Now we're understanding also, there's a Ukrainian news outlet called UA.news. Not sure, have not that familiar with it, but reportedly they're saying that this week, same time that Ratcliffe flew over to Russia, that Russia is doing, their military forces are conducting training exercises at their border of Finland, which is a NATO country or part of NATO. Is Frump, did he go over there because Frump is afraid of somehow the U.S. being dragged into yet another conflict? If Russia and its expansionist situation, we know, if they're going to start trying to tip off some stuff with Finland, right? On the excuse that their borders are at risk, because these military exercises are apparently already underway. Secondly, however, in the wake of this video from Iran threatening Barron Trump, which we've heard about that, so a so-called $10 million bounty on Barron's head, I'm wondering, now, we know Frump doesn't just dismiss that. That's how he wound up on that catering truck, right? And scooted him off. Air Force One. Is Frump afraid for Barron? Is this $10 million bounty a serious situation? And given Iran's relationship to Russia, did Frump send did Frump send Ratcliffe over there to try and talk to them and say, hey, see what y'all can do to to interfere in that, or to get that off the radar? Like, do what you can to help us. So that's the two things. Spirit, first of all, did this have something to do, Ratcliffe's trip to Russia, does it have something to do with NATO, Russia's expansionist border issues, and something to do with NATO? Three of Swords, fears, and the Devil. I want to go one more. And the Moon, absolutely, absolutely. Frump is in this regime, I ain't gonna call it an administration, a regime, has a lot of regrets around knowing at this point that the Iranian war is an absolute and abject failure. And the amount of money, what it's costing in political capital, not just for Frump, but for the party at large, for the Republican Party at large, like regret, Three of Swords, energy. Now we got two major arcana coming up, the Devil and the Moon. Really interesting pairing here, because that's indicating there is tremendous worries about what Russia's plans are in regards to its borders, and perhaps manufacturing some other conflict that then the U.S., for the time being, still a part of NATO, might have to also become a part of and respond to. So yes, this was Ratcliffe's marching orders had to do with dealing with these border exercises. There's no accidents here. This is something that they're doing deliberately. And the Ace of Cups, y'all, if you've been with me, you know when I get my aces, that's my spirit guide saying, yes, we're on to something. So yes, the Ace of Cups, there's a desire coming in cups, emotional component to it, meaning the feel like we cannot afford, we're already stretched thin. The idea that for all of the bluster about what the U.S. was prepared to do to advance in Iran, we're going to do this, that, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it. But we also know that, Keg's breath, we call him, or Pentagon Pete, however you say, has decimated the leadership within the military ranks to the point where having some real authority that understands how to navigate this, who's going to do that? Actual military equipment is running out of materials. So that's part of it. Trying to get some leeway to try and slow down whatever this plan is that Russia has regarding its borders, and manufacturing perhaps another conflict with Finland as a part of NATO. That was one. Now I also want to look at, on the side note, is Ratcliffe trying to talk to Russia to use its influence with Iran pertaining to this threat? One, is that threat real? Is there an actual $10 million or so bounty? Is there a bounty from Iran on Barron Trump? The Tower. Ooh. And the Two of Wands. There is. I mean, for those of you familiar with tarot, like 2 + 2 = 4 in this situation, right? So this looks like a real thing, that there is in fact a bounty on him. Now, what was also interesting, when Iran put out this information about this bounty, they said they have been tracking Barron's movements forever, like his NYU situation, but also I'm wondering, are they trying to honeypot Barron, right? And those of you, if you're not familiar with that situation by a honeypot, please look it up. But because they said in their in the materials that the Iranian regime released, that they had a girl, whoever this is, who managed to get through the Secret Service, Barron's Secret Service coverage, and attended some meeting with Barron. When it was, I'm not sure. I wasn't able to find that information. But the bottom line is, part of this whole video and this bounty situation on Barron's head was saying, we have somebody who got to him, who got in the same room with him. Spirit, are they trying to honeypot Barron, is there going to be an attempt to get a woman who's going to be a Russian asset close to him? I mean, well, maybe a Russian asset or an Iranian asset. Is there an effort to do that? Three of Pentacles, some work together to do that, and the Nine of Swords and the Six of Wands. There's an attempt, but I don't see that it's really gained any serious momentum. Three of Pentacles is collaboration. There's talk about it. There may be, in fact, some efforts to get people who can get close to Barron. That's the worry. The Nine of Swords. The Six of Wands, though, it feels like there's an effort to do it, but nothing that is at full alarm at this point. So I think, again, part of what Frump is trying to do and the fears that he has is trying to mitigate it. He takes it seriously. Again, he hauled his butt on that catering truck, right? You know, fears of what could happen, the threats that he was flying on Air Force One. So he took it that seriously. I think there's something around that. Keeping in mind as well, we saw that recent video at the Grand Prix race or whatever last weekend in DC. And we saw that little clip. They had the lip readers out there trying to figure out what was really transpiring between Melania and Frump. Whatever it wasn't good. She was looking tense. He was looking tense. There was a lot of talk that it could have had to do with Natalie Hart. Okay, maybe. But I just, in the wake of that's this weekend, them fussing, Melania and Frump fussing at the Grand Prix. Next thing you know, Russia's having these drills. Next thing you know, after that, here goes Ratcliffe on some carriers over to Russia. Now, what's on those carriers? I kept trying to go into it before I started taping, y'all. I'm never going to get on here and pretend and, like I know it all, or I'm not going to fake the funk with you. I don't know. I could not get a grip. It's almost like Spirit was saying, don't go there, because that, whatever was on those carriers is almost secondary to the mission. I don't want to say secondary, but you get my drift. There was the larger mission was, one, U.S. cannot afford to go into another conflict or drawn into another conflict regarding NATO. As a member of NATO to protect Finland, doesn't have the resources, does not, financially cannot be drawn into another conflict at this point in time. But then the subtext of that is around Barron and the reality of this threat against Barron. All right, so Spirit, will Russia intercede on Barron's behalf? Do they have an impetus to do that? Four of Pentacles, they're considering it. What's in it for us? And Judgment, they're considering it. But it is very much what's in it for us. What if we do this, if we go to Iran and use our influence to say, hey, let's not go too far in this direction. What's in it for us? What are you going to do for us in return? And maybe that had something to do with what was on the carriers. I don't know. But yes, so this was, and the Three of Cups. This feels like the holidays approaching. Spirit, are we going to see something start to amp up around Barron and this threat around the holidays? King of Cups. 10 of Cups. That is when people celebrate, and the Eight of Wands sooner than the holidays. We may get some news around added security around Barron or movement around the holidays, like he getting him out of DC, squirreling him away in some different locations in New York or wherever else he's going to be, maybe in Florida. Queen of Swords, there's Melania coming in. Spirit, so while we're there, Spirit, was part of this argument that we saw happening at the Grand Prix between Melania and Frump. Did this have to do with this breaking video from Iran and Melania being on super high alert around threats towards Barron? Ace of Swords. Didn't even have to work for it. There you go. There you go. She is, because I think the Natalie thing, even though, you know, hey, it's kind of entertaining to think of them arguing about Natalie, and she got cropped out of the videos where she was attending the Grand Prix last weekend. Like, yeah, that's entertainment. But this for Melania is real. Like the safety of Barron is real. So that is definitely the conflict. Melania lit a fire under Frump, and Frump said, Ratcliffe, I'm gonna need you to get on a plane because I can't do it, right? I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to be seen doing that. So I need you to get over there and talk to them, because based on Russia's tightness with Iran and the assistance that they've lent Iran, remember that Russia was the one giving Iran the locations and the data, the satellite data around U.S. bases to help Iran in the conflict, etc. We know about that. So that has a lot to do with what Melania was really tight about this weekend. I don't see any, I don't see this, I see the energy around it amping up in terms of trying to keep Barron safe, and Melania putting more pressure on Frump to do whatever's necessary to keep Barron safe. I'm not seeing, you know, we did not get the death card or anything too far out there. I don't think that that's actually going to happen. But the motion around it is real, and the threats are real. All right. Secondly, staying on the Barron situation, tomorrow, Thursday, in Florida, we have the Tate brothers, Tristan and Andrew Tate, who are trying to fight extradition to the UK for their human trafficking. Many of us know about that story, but we also know that there is talk of in Congress of subpoenaing Barron relative to emails that he exchanged and his relationship to the Tate brothers, and using political influence to protect the Tate brothers, to keep them from being extradited outside of the country. Now news broke, I think just yesterday, Tate brothers were completely fake. Talk about fake. That all these Bugattis and watches and their whole lifestyle, they were renting this equipment, the yachts and all of this stuff. They're like practically broke, right? They're social media influencers who were hoodwinking the manosphere and getting the clicks and making the money off of social media. But at the end of the day, this you know, they're part of this uber wealthy class. It ain't true. Are they, Tate brothers, in a pinch, one, trying to get released on bond? You know, they're saying we're too broke to be a flight risk, is essentially what their lawyers have said. They don't have the money, they don't have the wealth, they don't have all the riches that they could just go somewhere on an island and disappear, so they're no flight risk. Go ahead and let them out of jail while they fight these extradition charges. Meanwhile, are the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan, are they, I want to use the word blackmailing, and essentially saying, hey, Frump et al., y'all better help us out, because we do have texts from Barron. We do have a relationship with Barron. Barron did help engage us with the manosphere in 2024 to help you get elected, supposedly, right? Right? Okay. Spirit, is there a, I need to shuffle a little more. Is there, are the I keep saying Tristan brothers, I'm sorry. Are the Tate brothers going to, is something, some revelation going to come out around Barron? Something that would embarrass, Knight of Cups, movement around it. I'm going to sit that to the side. Are the Tate brothers, is Frump feeling some pressure to somehow, some way assist the Tate brothers because of their connection to Barron? And he doesn't want some sort of information to come out relative to Barron's relationship with them. Are they threatening to do that? Two cards just came, the Magician and the Hangman. Oh, all right. Yes. Ruled by Mercury. Also pulling a rabbit out of a hat because they're desperate. They've been behind bars now in Miami since July 18th, I think I saw. So they're desperate to get out. period. And the hangman, there's this concern and worry. And also, I feel like that's a timing element. Hangman is ruled by Neptune. We've got the lunar eclipse coming starting tomorrow, the 27th, right? Ruled by Pisces, lunar eclipse in Pisces. So there could very well be some information that comes out at this hearing for the bond hearing for the Tate brothers tomorrow relative to Barron and Barron's relationship with them. The Eight of Cups, they just want out any way that they can. The Five of Cups, fears, and the Five of Wands, they want to fight. The conflict. Spirit, are we going to hear something relative to Barron? Are the Tate brothers going to actually blackmail or reveal information about Barron? Nine of Cups, they're basically saying we don't want to do this. But that Five of Wands is like, we're in a battle for our survival here. Don't make us do that. Don't turn your back on us. Eight of Cups. You know, we were friends, right? Meaning them with supposedly them with that Barron was friends with the Tate brothers. Spirit, are we going to learn something? Ten of Swords, a lot of fears around the role that or the political influence that Barron could have used, and then, you know, those like him. Because remember, a lot of what was happening in 2024 was around the young, you know, the young manosphere thumping their chest and getting on board with this whole image that the Tate brothers were pushing, but who, you know, of course, Frump himself as well. And there's the Fool. Is this them being released? Are you showing me the Tate brothers being released on bond? King of Wands. Somebody helps them or their attorneys. The Seven of Cups. Ten of Cups. And the Empress and the Chariot. I think they're going to get out on bond. And there's a lot of energy in the background around trying to prevent Barron from having to testify before Congress, because that's the move that Congress has, is to haul him in front of Congress to testify as to whether or not this regime exercised its political influence in cahoots with the Tate brothers. And whether and the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Swords, I think, again, this is their political teams, or it could be, I'm not sure. And there's the Justice, there's the Court. I think one of these, I don't know whether it's a male or female who's the judge in this case in Miami, that's overseeing the hearing tomorrow. But I think that I think they've got a holding pattern here, and part of this is, again, because they're trying to protect Barron. And I think the Tate brothers have said, listen, we got a whole lot of information around him. At the very least, even if it was nothing criminal involved, at the very least, it could cause a lot of embarrassment that Frump does not want that smoke from Melania. He don't want that smoke from her. All right, that's that part. And finally, I wanted to stay with our good news, closing on good news. Thank you so much for those of you who have been saying you enjoyed that. I do too, right? Don't we need it? Couple of things. I don't even know if I need to read on this. I think it's just more sharing with you. I'll keep it here if I'm pulled. So, one, the wild horses, right? You know, herding them, the horse meat situation, we've heard about it. But indigenous Americans, Native Americans we're understanding reports are coming out that they are herding them. They're starting to herd them themselves and get them on the reservations, or finding places to get many of them to safety. So that's definitely some good news. They have also The Bureau of Land Management is behind all of this, or a lot of this. And we understand that a lot of the tribes, Native American tribes, have filed a lawsuit to try and stop it. But again, there we are in the court system while their, BLM is going on with their, capturing these horses. Also, we're understanding that a lot of stores, this 300,000 tons of beef that are being imported, according to Frump, at low cost, that a lot of retailers are saying, we ain't selling that here, right? It ain't happening. So that whole ruse of I'm doing something to help bring prices down for the American public, it ain't happening, all right? Meanwhile, I think people are going to be very, very careful about where they're buying their those who eat ground beef. I think there's going to be a lot of energy around either pulling back from that or more retailers saying we're not going to sell it. If it comes from Argentina, South America, wherever, we're not buying it. All right, so that is some good news. Second good news, Costco strikes again. So many of you may have heard about apparently Callaway, big golf company, right? Callaway had some commercial with, I think the part of their subsidiary or whatever it was called, Good Golf. So Callaway had came up with some bright idea in golf. Many of you, there's a driver, right? And there was some ruckus around. They did a video, they released a commercial, an advertisement where a golfer pushed a woman to the ground and the tagline was, "Don't touch my driver," all right? People erupted like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking having this man push this woman to the ground? And I think she was a professional golfer, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe an influencer. But anyway, people erupted and was like, are you crazy? And Costco stood up, right away and said, that's it. Yank anything, yank the golf balls, the drivers, whatever we got on the shelves, yank it. We're not selling any Callaway products. So hooray for Costco again being socially aware as well as, as a corporate, huge corporate entity doing the right thing. That's also some good news. And finally today, April 26th, I did not know about this. Apparently it's been going on since COVID. It is Pay What You Can Day. And apparently this is where Michelin star restaurants, crazy, like, I don't know if I've ever been to a Michelin star restaurant, but I'm a foodie. I watch all the Michelin star shows and stuff. But there's this Pay What You Can movement that was started in Mexico City by a Michelin star restaurant, Masala y Maze. But it has grown to over 100 restaurants participating in 14 countries around the world, including here in the USA. And it's essentially where, for that day, full menu, no cutbacks, people can go to these Michelin star restaurants and literally pay what you can, depending on people to be, fair, and pay what they're able to pay, but still have this exposure to a really good meal. So I understand that it is available here in the States. There are participating restaurants in California, New York, DC, Maryland, Texas, Florida, Louisiana, and Massachusetts. And so maybe, hey, if it's something you're interested in and you're in one of those states, maybe look it up and see if there's a Michelin star restaurant near you today, and you can go in and eat a really good meal and pay what you can. All right, y'all, be really, really good out there. Chins up, right? Chins up, shoulders back, sky above, earth beneath, and heart within. I was up this morning praying, and that's how Spirit gave it to me. Sky above us, earth beneath us, and our hearts within us. All right? Take really good care. Be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you. Bye.